Here's what we sometimes hear as men today. We hear you you can't just bury your feelings. You can't just suffer in silence. You have to talk about it. You have to talk about your feelings. Talk about how you feel. Find a caring and committed person who doesn't charge too much, ideally. By the way, here's a joke. Here's what I say. Well, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I can't really be of any help. Sorry. That'll be $300. Shall we schedule another appointment? I am a doctor. B, a psychiatrist. C, a whore. D, all of the above? Yep. Anyway, sorry for that bit of foolishness. That foolish aside. So they talk about, your suffering in silence is just the worst thing you could do. You're bottling up your feelings, and that's only going to result in something bad happening. And men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women are, and that's because they bottle up their feelings. Women are more comfortable talking about their feelings, and that's why they don't commit suicide as much, whereas men just keep it all inside and have to be stoic and feel like they have to be manly and live up to some ideal of masculinity, and that's what kills them. That kills them. Well, I'm just going to sound, as you can probably tell from my tone here, I'm going to sound a dissolute note. I'm going to say something that tends to militate against what you hear, what the conventional wisdom is on this subject. Of course, and with the BetterHelpization of everything, BetterHelp being everywhere, which I've talked about before. You can't go on the internet, you can't go on YouTube without getting blitzed with a BetterHelp ad telling you that you really need to see a therapist. Toot sweet. That's what's wrong with you. You're not in therapy. If you were in therapy, it would be fine. Or it would at least be better. You'd be on your way to recovery from all of the issues that you have, all the things that are plaguing your mind and spirit. Well, here's just something to think about. Now, I certainly don't want to make men more likely to commit suicide. So, if what I'm saying doesn't sound right to you, and you're in therapy and it's working for you, or I don't know, if something you're doing works for you, that's fine. Don't feel like I'm telling you to do something different, because I do care. I do actually care about you, even though I don't know you. And I do. It would bother me immensely if anything I said here were to lead to anyone going into a bad place or harming themselves. But here's just something to think about. Okay. So they say suffering in silence is bad. What if the alternative to suffering in silence is not happiness, but is merely suffering out loud? What if, when you decide, okay, I'm not going to suffer in silence anymore, I'm going to tell someone about it, I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to let it out in my my 5-step program, or is it 10-step? I don't know how many. What are the steps? How many steps are there? As you can see, I am ignorant about that particular type of brainwashing. But sorry, don't mean to be offensive here. I really don't. But like, okay, here's just what I will end with, because I don't want this to get too long. What if the alternative to suffering in silence is just simply suffering out loud? Now, when you suffer in silence, at least you have your dignity. You know, maybe talk can't really help. Maybe telling other people how in pain you are about this, that, or the other thing doesn't really help, because you're still, no matter where you go, there you are. When you tell someone how you feel, then afterwards you're still you, and you still feel the way that you feel, and that hasn't changed by you talking about it, has it? Maybe you found, I don't know, maybe you feel a little bit less alone. If you're talking to someone who understands you or whatever. But if you're talking to a shrink, I don't know whether that's the case or not. Why would you think a shrink would understand you? Maybe he's perfectly nice. Maybe he means well. Maybe he wants to help you, but why would you think that he necessarily understands you? So I'm just, and I think I'm speaking more from my own experience here than, so this isn't something that I want to generalize, but it is something I want to just say might be, if it's my experience, it might also be your experience. And if it is, then we shouldn't be shamed about saying these kinds of things or objecting in these kinds of ways. I have found that the alternative to suffering in silence is more often than not suffering out loud. I have found that the times when I have tried to reach catharsis, or not have things be bottled up anymore, when I've tried to have my yawn off, like moment of shout, let it all out. These are the things I could do without. When I've done that, sometimes I felt even worse. They think that you'll somehow magically feel better, but you already know what's plaguing you. You already know what you have to deal with. It's already there. It's already in your mind. You already are aware of it. So if you don't want to talk about it, you shouldn't have to talk about it. If you don't, if they want to shame you by saying, well, you're just suffering in silence, so that's no good, then you can always retort, better suffer in silence than suffer out loud. When I'm suffering out loud, I'm like a screaming, drooling mental patient, but when I'm suffering in silence, at least I have my dignity. And yes, dignity does matter. And that's why Stoicism is not something to be dismissed or waved aside. Stoicism is something that can help bring your life meaning, even in the midst of sorrow. So just a few thoughts. I'll end it there. Thanks for watching.